how England should line up at the 2022 World Cup. We're going to dive into starting 11s, formations, tactics, and how Gareth Southgate can get the job done. So, let's start up with the goalkeeper. In goal for England, we've seen a few players in between the sticks in the last 12 months, the likes of Nick Pope, Jordan Pickford. But I think England have got to go with Aaron Ramsdale in between the sticks. For me, the best footballing goalkeeper in the England squad. England need to be able to deal with modern sides. There's some top coaches at the World Cup. We're talking Luis Enrique, Hansi Flick, Scaloni, Titi. There's all these managers that will know how to press you high. And that was the big concern for England in the recent World Cup, is they struggled to play through pressure. And that's something that they need to evolve. I think Ramsdale has everything in his locker. The ability to hit the fullbacks to allow them to escape the press. The ability to hit a number 10 to play through, or Harry Kane dropping off the line. But also as well, his confidence is something that I think England need. Having someone that's super confident in between the sticks, even when he makes mistakes at times, is massively important. And Ramsdale hasn't made many mistakes this season. I'm talking earlier on his goalkeeping career, but the confidence to make the saves. If you think this season, one of the best goalkeeping performances of the year was Aaron Ramsdale up against Leicester City. And his evolution at Arsenal under Mikel Arteta is something that England cannot ignore. You know, Southgate needs to do early in the tournament, needs to make an instant impact, get Ramsdale in between the sticks, because his ability is absolutely sublime. You know, on days when Arsenal really need him to step up. We talked the Leicester City game from earlier on in the season, but also the Leeds United game. Brilliant performance in that game, made 4 saves, 3 in the penalty area, 2 punches, 1 high claim. But his ability on the ball, I think, is the most important thing for me. And for him to be involved in the build-up is so important for England. Right, let's move into the defence. First up, right back is a pretty hotly contested position. But I think Kieran Trippier, on form right now, deserves to start for England and probably should start at the World Cup. His leadership is such a massive part of why I would start Kieran Trippier. His ability to command his teammates and the education that he got from Diego Simeone over in Atletico Madrid, he's taken that back to Newcastle United. And that is without talking about the rest of his game. Only Kevin De Bruyne has created more chances in the Premier League than Kieran Trippier. He's an asset from set pieces. He's an asset on the overlapping open play. He needs to start at right fullback. Moving to defence, I think simply England need to move away from the Stones and Maguire pairing and partnership. I think with the emergence of wide forwards and pace in European football and world football, England probably need to go with Ben White as a centre-back in there. I know Ben White's not played centre-back this season, but he did a good job last season playing for Arsenal, and I feel like having him coming in, John Stones moving to the left-hand side, White coming into the right-hand side, will give England some really good pace at the back, which will allow them to deal with the speedsters. You're thinking Lionel Messi at some point in the tournament. You're thinking Neymar might be someone that they've got to deal with. So I think the mobility and also the passing out of the back, and of course Ben White's relationship with Aaron Ramsdale, is a big reason why I'd go with those 2 centre-backs. John Stones had a pretty decent season so far with Manchester City as well. So definitely my 2 centre-backs, John Stones and Ben White, will allow England to deal with all the problems. And look, if England do need to go with a back three, Harry Maguire, of course, could slot in the middle if there is any big aerial threat. Maybe Harry Maguire could come back in and Ben White could be moved to right fullback. But I think starting when you're playing a 4-2-3-1, Trippier, White, Stones is my starting combination. To left back, there's been a lot of injuries at left back. There is only one left back really in the squad. That is Luke Shaw. Luke Shaw's form this season for Manchester United has started to really improve. What I've enjoyed with Luke Shaw is his ability to move inside, play as an inverted wing back for Erik ten Hag. And I think that will kind of help England, because tactically England need to throw the central midfielders up a little bit more. Not both of them, but one at a time they need to go, which means having someone like Luke Shaw that can tuck into that central area and get on the ball is very, very important. And I think with Luke Shaw, his form has got better and better as the season has gone on. He was dropped at the early part of the season. Malacia came in, but then Luke Shaw battled to win his position back. And you'd say one of his best games, bar the tracking for the goal, was against Fulham. Created 2 big opportunities for Manchester United. United, one for Martial, one for Scott McTominay in the middle, which was two variants of crosses. One was from a wide area, one was from an inside position. And if you look at Luke Shaw's heat map against Fulham, you can see what I mean here, that he is moving into that inside channel a lot more than he used to do. So it would allow England to have a little bit more balance, allow one of the central midfielders to move into the attacking line, and thus England will be a better side. So Luke Shaw as a left back, of course, as a the first defensive midfielder, is very, very simple. Declan Rice has been absolutely sensational for West Ham United this year. The way that his game has developed and he's grown, and his command. And when you talk to West Ham fans, they say Declan Rice is the best player they've seen since Dimitri Payet, and some of the best players they've seen of all time in a West Ham shirt. We know the quality that this lad has, his ability to win the ball back, but also carry, control, run the game. Against Bournemouth in a Premier League game this season, he completed 99% of his passes, created 3 chances, 10 out of his 11 long passes completed, 3 shots, 2 out of 2 tackles won. This guy can do it all. Position on the left-hand side of the 4-2-3-1 for Southgate, Declan Rice is going to be a massive part of England. And I think one of the big things that he has improved, of course, I think over the last season, I think we've seen his carrying, his ability to drive through midfield and carry through. But I feel like this season, what we're seeing is his passing range has been absolutely ridiculous, and that will get the best out of England's wingers. I think out of the 2 midfielders that we're going to select today, he's got to be the one that's a little bit more defensively minded out of the 2. I feel like that's going to allow England to play a little bit better through the lines and allow them to kind of progress the ball in a better way. So he can sit, he can hold, he can protect the defence. He could even shift a little bit to the right. Luke Shaw can come in, he can sit as a sole holder, and England can attack with 5 players. Now we move on to attacking players, and yes, I'm talking about an attacking defensive midfielder. That is Jude Bellingham. The reason why I say that is because Jude Bellingham needs to be not in that number 6 area. Jude needs to get into the final third, because that is where he can use his skill set the best. In between the lines, receiving, turning and carrying. That for me is the best Jude Bellingham. But also it allows Bellingham to be in a high position, to start the counter press and win the ball back. What I don't want to see with Jude Bellingham is him sitting close to the centre-backs with Declan Rice and them just passing the ball from side to side and not allowing Jude Bellingham to move into that attacking line, because that's where you get the best out of the Borussia Dortmund central midfielder. And I feel like that, having Rice as the 6, Bellingham as the 8, is a great combination of central midfielders. Throwing the third central midfielder in here, Mason Mount, of course, is probably Gareth Southgate's favourite attacking midfielder, but I think right now you can't ignore James Maddison. You just can't ignore James Maddison and his form. His form has been so good this season in the Premier League. And it's a big reason why England have selected him is his form. In 13 games this season in the Premier League, he scored 7 goals and registered 4 assists. He's been pretty unplayable. You take the game against Everton, 2 assists, 4 chances created. Starting from the right-hand side and drifting inside. Again, for England have got a lot of quality left-footed right attackers. So I wouldn't massively put Maddison out there, but I'd start Maddison at number 10 and maybe get him to play inside right more than inside left in an attacking sense. But I feel like that gives England the best quality going forward, the ability to create something out of nothing, the set-piece threat as well. Maddison's call-up vitally important. Managing his minutes through the tournament could be important as well. Start him in the first 2 group games and give him a rest before the knockout stages. But that will allow England to have some real quality at number 10 and allow England to kind of create this sort of, 3-man midfield with a single pivot, allowing Bellingham to join James Maddison from defensive midfield in that attacking line, to allowing them to thread balls through, to allow them to get those final third combination play moves started. Moving to our right winger, I think Bukayo Saka is the number 1 choice. Not only has he been superb for Arsenal and England over the last 12 months, but he's the perfect modern-day attacker. A left-footed right winger. It's so difficult to defend against those types of players. That's why they cost so much money. Arsenal have got a star on their hands, and so have England. And I think when you look at what he's done for Arsenal this season, a little bit of a slow start for Arsenal in the Premier League, but it's really sort of kicking on. Assists, goals in recent weeks, and one of his best performances coming against Liverpool, a brace, 2 goals scored, 1 from the penalty spot, 4 shots, 3 on target. in terms of his duels, won 4 out of his 9 duels. Again, we see his importance for Arsenal on that right-hand side. So good. Really holds the sort of depth of the team, the height of the team supremely well, and he can do that for England, considering that Harry Kane's definitely going to play through the middle as the centre forward. Second top scorer in the Premier League this season for England. Goals. He's going to drop off the line, which means England kind of needs someone like a Saka to hold the shape when England are in possession, to hold it wide. I think on the other side, I'm going to go with Phil Foden. Phil Foden, in fact, has played on the left-hand side more than the right-hand side for Manchester City this season. He's having his best ever year in terms of goals and assists at this point in the season. He looks in form. He's also been rested a little bit by Pep Guardiola in recent weeks, and it's been concerning for our fantasy football teams, but at the same time, it's the right management, directly involved in 10 goals in 14 games. Which leads me to think England have got a very potent front 5 players. Thinking Kane's second top scorer in the Premier League. Maddison has been directly involved in over 10 goals. Same with Foden. Same with Saka. And Jude Bellingham can provide a little bit of that aggression in that central midfield area, but also the ball carrying. This England team is the one. 4-2-3-1 with all the quality that you need, with all the flexibility that a modern team requires. If England do play this shape, Gareth Southgate could win the World Cup. So we'll see that. Again, the 3 at the back. Don't want to see that. Too boring, too static. I'd rather see a fluid 4-4-2, a fluid 4-3-3, or a fluid 4-2-3-1 as we have on screen. But anyway, guys, get into the comments. How far will England go in the World Cup? I'm in Statman Dave. Subscribe if you're new. We'll see you later.